that was Professor Kishan Kumar, JNTU. He spent most of his career in US and మీరు చేసింది ఇతర దేశాల ఉదాహరణ చెప్తున్నారు సార్ పబ్లిక్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్. అలాగే చాలామంది వాళ్ళ ఆడియన్స్లో కూడా మైక్ తీసుకొని వెళ్ళాను సార్. వాళ్ళు చెప్పారు ఎక్కువగా ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ మీద వాళ్ళ ఫోకస్ అంతా ఉంది సార్. అలాగే రోడ్లు, నగర నిర్వహణ, ముఖ్యంగా విద్యార్థులు యూత్ని ఎలా వీళ్ళు ఎంకరేజ్ చేయాలి ఈ దీంట్లో ఆలోచించేలాగా చెప్పారు సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ. రోజు రోజుకు పెరుగుతున్న నగరీకరణను ఆపటం సాధ్యం కాదు. అంటే పట్టణీకరణ లేదా నగరీకరణ ఎలా సాధ్యం కాదో అది సృష్టిస్తున్న కాలుష్యాన్ని ఆపడం కూడా అలాగే సాధ్యం కాదేమో అనే ప్రశ్నకు సమాధానంగానే మరి ఇట్స్ అన్ ఇంటెలెక్చువల్ బ్రెయిన్ స్టార్మింగ్ సెషన్ వీ కెన్ సే. ఈ అర్బనైజేషన్ వల్ల మన కుటుంబాలు వ్యక్తిగత అంటే కుటుంబ జీవనం కానీ సామాజిక జీవనం కానీ ఎక్కువ లగ్జరీ వైపు ఇస్తున్న దృష్టి అది తాత్కాలికం. దురదృష్టం ఏంటంటే ఖచ్చితంగా ప్రతి ఇండివిజువల్ ఆర్ ప్రతి ఫ్యామిలీ కూడా తర్వాతి జనరేషన్స్ గురించి ఆలోచిస్తే ఖచ్చితంగా మనం ఇప్పుడే కళ్ళు తెరుస్తాం. మనం ఏ కార్యక్రమం చేపట్టినా మనిషే కేంద్రం, హ్యూమన్ సెంట్రిక్ యాక్టివిటీస్ గవర్నమెంట్ ఏది తీసుకున్నా మనిషే కేంద్రంగా, అది వాహన కాలుష్యమైనా లేదా భవనాల్ని డిస్మాంటిల్ చేసినప్పుడు వచ్చే కాలుష్యమైనా రోడ్ల నిర్వహణ అయినా అన్నీ కూడా మనిషి చుట్టే తిరుగుతుంటాయి. కాబట్టి ముందు మనిషిలో జాగరూకత రావాలి. ఎటర్నల్ విజిలెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ద సిటిజన్ ఈజ్ ది లైఫ్ వైర్ ఆఫ్ డెమోక్రసీ అన్నారు కాళోజీ ప్రజాకవి నారాయణరావు. అలా సిటిజన్లో చైతన్యం వస్తే ప్రభుత్వ విభాగాల పని కూడా చాలా సులువు అవుతుంది. ప్రపంచ స్థాయి నగరాలతో పోలిస్తే మనం ఇందాకే రఘుప్రసాద్ గారు చెప్పారు, జిహెచ్ఎంసీ ఇవాల్టి మెజర్మెంట్ కూడా చెప్పారు సార్. సో వీఆర్ ఇన్ ఏ చాలా సంతృప్తికరంగా ఉంది హైదరాబాద్ నగరం. మన దేశంలోని ఢిల్లీ, మద్రాసు లాంటి నగరాలతో పోల్చిన సంతృప్తికరంగా ఉంది కదా సార్. అదే సాటిస్ఫైయింగ్, ఇంకా అంటే గొప్పగా డిస్టింక్షన్ సాధించలేదు. అందుకని ఇంకా ముందటి సవాళ్ళు మన ఇబ్బంది పెట్టకుండా ఉండాలంటే ఇప్పుడే జాగ్రత్త పడాలి. ప్రపంచ స్థాయి నగరాలు ఎన్నో ఉన్నాయి. ప్రపంచ స్థాయి నగరాలకి మన ఆనరబుల్ సీఎం గారు వెళ్ళొచ్చినప్పుడు కూడా చెప్తుంటారు. ఇప్పుడు ఒక సియోల్లోనో లేకపోతే చిన్న చిన్న దేశాల్లో ఉండే జనాభా ఎంత, వాళ్ళు సాధించిన విజయాలన్నీ, అది కొరియా కానీ తైవాన్, జపాన్ ఇలాంటివన్నీ. సో అట్లాంటి సందర్భాల్ని మనం పోల్చుకున్నప్పుడు
ముఖ్య అతిథి ఆనరబుల్ డిప్యూటీ సీఎం మల్లు భట్టి విక్రమార్క గారు వేయించేశారు. వారిని వేదిక సవినంగా ఆహ్వానిస్తోంది. తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్ర ఆర్థిక రంగానికి, ప్రణాళిక రంగానికి, శక్తి వనరుల రంగానికి ఎప్పటికప్పుడు తమ సుదీర్ఘమైన అనుభవంతో, దార్శనికతతో ఒక కొత్త దశను దిశను చూపిస్తున్న ఆనరబుల్ చీఫ్ గెస్ట్ డిప్యూటీ సీఎం మల్లు భట్టి విక్రమార్క గారు. మనకు తెలుసు, మధిర నియోజకవర్గ ప్రజలకు మాత్రమే కాదు, యావత్ తెలంగాణ ప్రజలకు మధుర హృదయులు. పీపుల్స్ మార్చ్తో 1400 కిలోమీటర్లు ఆదిలాబాద్ జిల్లా బోతు మంచిర్యాలకి ప్రారంభిస్తే రాష్ట్రం అంతటా తిరిగి ప్రజల గుండె చప్పుడు స్వయంగా విని తెలంగాణ అవసరాల్ని మరింపు చేసి ఇప్పుడు తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్ర వికాసం కోసం జరుగుతున్న కృషిలో వారి అనుభవం, వారి ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ అండ్ ఎక్స్పర్టైజ్ నిరంతరం మనకు అందిస్తూ ఉన్నారు. ఇప్పుడు వేదికపైకి వేయించేస్తున్న పెద్దల్ని మనం ఆహ్వానించుకుందాం. ఆనరబుల్ డిప్యూటీ సీఎం గారికి స్వాగతం పలుకుతారు ప్లానింగ్ సెక్రటరీ డాక్టర్ బుద్ధ ప్రకాష్ జ్యోతి ఐఏఎస్. డాక్టర్ బుద్ధ ప్రకాష్ గారు అనేక విభాగాల్లో అనుభవంతో వారు అటు ఎలక్టోరల్ రంగంలో కానీ వివిధ జిల్లాల కలెక్టర్గా సేవలు ఉన్నారు. డాక్టర్ బుద్ధ ప్రకాష్ జ్యోతి ఐఏఎస్ సెక్రటరీ ప్లానింగ్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ ఈజ్ వెల్కమింగ్ ఆనరబుల్ డిప్యూటీ సీఎం గారు. అహ్మద్ నదీమ్ ఐఏఎస్ సీనియర్ ఐఏఎస్, వీరు ప్రిన్సిపల్ సెక్రటరీగా ఉన్నారు ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ అండ్ ఫారెస్ట్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్. డాక్టర్ డి ప్రసాద్ గారు వారికి స్వాగతం పలుకుతారు. పొల్యూషన్ కంట్రోల్ బోర్డులో మరి వేదిక పైన రవి గారు ఉన్నారు. అలాగే సైంటిస్టులు, ఇంజనీర్స్ అందరూ ఉంటారు. చీఫ్ ఇంజనీర్ గారు రావు గారు కూడా ఉన్నారు. ప్రసాద్ గారు స్వాగతం పలికారు అహ్మద్ నదీమ్ సార్కి. డాక్టర్ బుద్ధ ప్రకాష్ జ్యోతి ఐఏఎస్ సెక్రటరీ ప్లానింగ్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ ఈస్ బీయింగ్ వెల్కమ్డ్ బై శ్రీ రూఫస్ దత్తం, డైరెక్టరేట్ ఆఫ్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అండ్ స్టాటిస్టిక్స్. ఇందాకే అనుకున్నాం, ప్రజా రవాణాకు మనం ఇస్తున్న ప్రాధాన్యం. కమిషనర్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ ఇలంబర్తి ఐఏఎస్, వారికి డైరెక్టర్ షేక్ మీరా గారు స్వాగతం పలుకుతారు. అలాగే వెల్కమ్ టు ఇలంబర్తి సార్. తర్వాత ప్లానింగ్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ నిర్వహిస్తున్న ఈ చాలా అవసరము, మనం ఫోకస్ చేస్తున్న పర్యావరణానికి సంబంధించిన అంశంలో సాంకేతికంగా సహకారం అందజేస్తుంది టీజీపీసీబీ పొల్యూషన్ కంట్రోల్ బోర్డ్. దానికి మెంబర్ సెక్రటరీగా ఉన్న శ్రీ జి రవి ఐఏఎస్ గారు, వారికి రామభద్రం గారు స్వాగతం పలుకుతారు. వీరు ప్లానింగ్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్లో ఉన్నారు. రామభద్రం గారు, డాక్టర్ జి రవి. శ్రీ నిఖిల్ చక్రవర్తి ఐఏఎండ్ఏఎస్, డైరెక్టర్ ఆఫ్ ఇండస్ట్రీస్, పి రవీందర్ రెడ్డి గారు స్వాగతం పలుకుతారు. డైరెక్టరేట్ ఆఫ్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అండ్ స్టాటిస్టిక్స్లో ఉన్న రవీందర్ రెడ్డి గారు, నిఖిల్ చక్రవర్తి గారికి స్వాగతం. ఇప్పుడు గౌరవనీయులైన ముఖ్య అతిథి ఆనరబుల్ డిప్యూటీ సీఎం గారు జ్యోతి వెలిగించే కార్యక్రమాన్ని ఆరంభిస్తారు. జ్యోతి ప్రకాశనం తర్వాత జాతీయ గీతం, రాష్ట్ర గీతం ఉంటాయి. జ్యోతి ప్రకాశనం, లైటింగ్ ఆఫ్ ద ల్యాంప్. జ్యోతి సే జ్యోతి జగాతే చలో, జ్ఞాన్ కి గంగా బహాతే చలో. ఒక దీపం మరొక దీపాన్ని వెలిగించి, దీపానికి కిరణం ఆభరణం, రూపానికి హృదయం ఆభరణం. మరి ఆ హృదయానికి మేధ మదిస్తున్న ఆలోచనలు, మేధో మధరించి దీపం జ్యోతి పరంపర. డిప్యూటీ సీఎం గారు, అహ్మద్ నదీమ్ గారు, బుద్ధ ప్రకాష్ గారు, ఇలంబర్తి గారు, రవి గారు, నిఖిల్ చక్రవర్తి గారు జ్యోతి ప్రకాష్లో పాల్గొన్నారు. చుట్టూ ఉన్న చీకటిని తిడుతూ కూర్చోవటం కంటే చిన్న దీపాన్నైనా వెలిగించమన్నారు. అలాంటి చిన్న దీపమే పౌరుల్లో జాగృత చైతన్యం. ఇప్పుడు అందరం లేచి నిలబడదాం, జనని భారతిని ప్రార్థించుకుందాం, జనగణమన. ఆ తర్వాత రాష్ట్ర గీతం ఉంటుంది, నిలబడే ఉంటాం. జనగణమన.
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तब जय गाथा। जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे, जय 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 हे।
జయ జయ హే తెలంగాణ జనని జయకేతం మన రాష్ట్ర గీతం.
जननी जय केतనం, ముకోటి గొంతుకలు ఒక్కటైన చేతనం. తరతరాల చరిత గల తల్లి నీరాజనం, పదపదాన నీ పిల్లలు ప్రణమిల్లిన శుభతరుణం. జయ తెలంగాణ జయ జయ తెలంగాణ, జయ తెలంగాణ జయ జయ తెలంగాణ. జీవన జావళీలు చాలువాన కవి గాయక వైతాళిక కళల మంజీరాలు, జాతిని జాగృత పరచే గీతాల జనజాతర అనునిత్యము నీ గానం. అమ్మ నీవే మా ప్రాణం. జయ తెలంగాణ జయ జయ తెలంగాణ, జయ తెలంగాణ జయ జయ తెలంగాణ.
సుఖశాంతుల తెలంగాణ సుభిక్షంగా ఉండాలి అన్న గీతం అందశ్రీ గారు మనకు అందించారు. గౌరవనీయులైన ముఖ్యమంత్రి, గౌరవ ఉప ముఖ్యమంత్రి వర్యులు తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్ర గీతంతో స్ఫూర్తిని నింపుతున్నారు ప్రతి వేదికపై. మనకు తెలుసు ఆనరబుల్ చీఫ్ గెస్ట్ ఆనరబుల్ డిప్యూటీ సీఎం గారు, వారి కట్టుబాటు చూస్తే చాలు ఆ ధోవతి, ఆ ఆహార్యం, పర్యావరణ మైత్రి అందులో స్పష్టంగా కనిపిస్తుంది. మరి ప్రజాపాలన ప్రభుత్వంలో అది క్యాస్ సర్వే అయినా, గ్లోబల్ సమ్మిట్ అయినా, ప్రజావాణి అయినా అన్ని మార్గదర్శనం చేస్తున్న పెద్దలు నేటి ముఖ్య అతిథి గారికి మరోమారు మీ అందరి కరతాళతో స్వాగతం పలకవలసిందిగా కోరుతూ, ఇప్పుడు ఈ కార్యక్రమం ప్లానింగ్ విభాగం నిర్వహిస్తోంది. ఈ విభాగానికి కార్యదర్శిగా మార్గదర్శనం చేస్తున్న పెద్దలు డాక్టర్ జ్యోతి బుద్ధ ప్రకాష్ గారి వెల్కమ్ అడ్రస్.
Very good morning to all of you. Honorable Deputy CM Sir, Minister for Finance, Planning and Energy, respected Principal Secretary Sir, Environment, Forest, Science and Technology Ahmed Nadeem Sir, my senior colleagues, Transport Commissioner Mallu Bhatti Garu, our partner in this summit, Member Secretary Ravi Garu, Member Secretary Pollution Control Board, our young and dynamic Industry Commissioner Nikhil Chakravarti Garu. It's a pleasure to welcome to this conference on Air Pollution Index and Air Quality Management organized by Government of Telangana, especially the Planning Department. At the outset, I thank our Deputy CM sir for nudging us and pushing us to take up this particular activity. Thank you for your guidance, sir. Clean air has always been a basic necessity for every living being and a fundamental right of every citizen. Unfortunately, in today's fast-growing urbanized world, clean air has become a luxury. Ensuring clean air and breathable air is therefore of utmost priorities for every government. Poor quality affects all of us. There is a noticeable increase in respiratory problems, heart-related diseases, hospital admissions during high pollution periods. Apart from the health impacts, air pollution also affects productivity, increases healthcare costs and reduces overall quality. Across the world, high priority has been given to air quality. United Nations has 3 sustainable goals, one on good health, one on sustainable cities, one on climate action. In India, air pollution has become serious concern, especially in the cities. Many urban areas record pollution levels of above safe limits. Hyderabad, a technology and economic growth center of South India, is facing a similar challenge. Seasonal peaks and high pollution levels throughout the year highlight the urgent need for this kind of conference. The causes of air pollution are known to everyone, whether it is public transport, whether it is construction dust, industrial emissions, unplanned urban emissions. These are the various reasons because of which we have poor air quality. Cities across the world such as Singapore, Seoul, London, Tokyo, with strong policies, effective institutions and public participation, they have improved air quality significantly. Telangana has also a great opportunity to lead this area by integrating air quality goals into urban planning, transport policies, infrastructure development and public health programs. This occasion and conference provides an excellent platform for discussion, learning, collaboration by bringing together policymakers, experts from across the country, practitioners both national as well as international, to share ideas, learn from best practices, develop practical solutions for better air quality management. The outcome of today's discussions will surely guide Telangana state and especially the city of Hyderabad for constructive policies and actions. The planning department will support any kind of such efforts for coordinating among various departments and long-term strategic thinking. Our aim is to ensure that our cities in Telangana grow in a way that is both economically strong and environmentally sustainable. I am confident that this conference will lead us to discussions and clear action points because the kind of experts we have, they have rich history of not only policy making but also implementation. I once again thank our Honorable Deputy CM sir, our Senior Officer Ahmed Nadeem sir, my colleague in the Pollution Control Board, our Transport Commissioner and Industries Commissioner, and especially all the experts who have come from various parts of this country to participate in this important summit. Once again, I thank all of you and welcome to this conference. I hope you have good time in Hyderabad city. Thank you.
సెక్రటరీ ప్లానింగ్ డాక్టర్ జ్యోతి బుద్ధ ప్రకాష్ గారు ఈ కాన్ఫరెన్స్ యొక్క అవసరం గురించి తెలియజేశారు. వారికి ధన్యవాదాలతో మనకు గాలి కనపడదు కానీ ఒక 2 నిమిషాలు ఇప్పుడు గాలిని కూడా చూస్తున్నాం. ఎయిర్ పొల్యూషన్ మీద ఒక వీడియో.
తాతయ్య, గాలి ఎలా కాలుష్యం అవుతుంది తాతయ్య?
వాస్తవానికి గాలి తనంతట తాను కలుషితం కాదమ్మా. మనం నడిపే కారు వెళ్లే ప్రతి అంగుళం పొగ వదులుతుంది. మనం వాడే కరెంటును తయారు చేసే పవర్ ప్లాంట్లు వదిలే ఉద్గారాల వల్ల, జనరేటర్లు వదిలే పొగ వల్ల, ప్లాస్టిక్ సంచుల వల్ల, బిల్డింగ్ కూలగొట్టేటప్పుడు వచ్చే దుమ్ము ధూళి వల్ల, పురుగుల మందులు వాడకం వల్ల, కర్మాగారాల వల్ల, ఇలా ఎన్నో రకాలుగా మనందరం వాతావరణాన్ని కలుషితం చేస్తున్నాం.
ఓ మై గాడ్!
ఇంకో విషయం తెలుసా? ఇలాంటి గాలిని పీల్చడం వల్ల వచ్చే జబ్బుల కారణంగా ప్రపంచవ్యాప్తంగా ప్రతి సంవత్సరం 70 లక్షల మంది చనిపోతున్నారు.
అయితే తాతయ్య మనం అందరినీ దీని నుంచి కాపాడలేమా?
కాపాడుకోవచ్చు తల్లి. సమస్య ఇంత పెద్దదైనా మనం చిన్న చిన్న అడుగులతోనే చాలా పెద్ద మార్పు తీసుకురావచ్చు.
రండి, ఈ మార్పులో మనమందరం భాగస్వాములమవుదాం. విద్యుత్ వాడకంలో జాగరూకతతో వ్యవహరిద్దాం. ఇంధన పొదుపు చర్యల ద్వారా వాహన కాలుష్యాన్ని తగ్గిద్దాం. వాహన సర్వీసింగ్ మరియు మరమ్మతుల నిర్వహణను సకాలంలో చేయిద్దాం. క్రమబద్ధంగా వాహన కాలుష్య తనిఖీ PUC చేయిద్దాం. విద్యుత్ మరియు CNG వాహనాల వినియోగాన్ని పెంపొందిద్దాం. ప్రజా రవాణా వ్యవస్థలోనే ప్రయాణిద్దాం. భవన నిర్మాణ మరియు కూల్చివేత వ్యర్థాలను CND వ్యర్థాల ప్రాసెసింగ్ ద్వారా రీసైక్లింగ్ చేద్దాం. పంట వ్యర్థాలను కాల్చకుండా కంపోస్టింగ్ ద్వారా పునర్వినియోగిద్దాం. పరిశ్రమలలో కాలుష్య నియంత్రణ పరికరాలను వినియోగించి కాలుష్యాన్ని తగ్గిద్దాం. వ్యర్థాలను బహిరంగంగా కాల్చకుండా కంపోస్టింగ్ లేదా రీసైక్లింగ్ చేద్దాం. మన నిబద్ధతే స్వచ్ఛమైన ఊపిరికి దారి, అదే పచ్చని పర్యావరణానికి రహదారి. ఇకనైనా కళ్ళు తెరుద్దాం, మన బాధ్యతల్ని గుర్తిద్దాం, పర్యావరణాన్ని కాపాడుకుందాం. తెలంగాణ కాలుష్య నియంత్రణ మండలి వారిచే జారీ చేయబడింది.
తెలంగాణ కాలుష్య నియంత్రణ మండలి సభ్య కార్యదర్శిగా సేవలు అందిస్తున్న IAS అధికారి గౌరవనీయులు G. రవి గారి సందేశం.
Honorable Deputy Chief Minister Sri Mallu Bhatti Vikramarka Mallu, respected Principal Secretary Garki, Secretary Planning Department Buddha Prakash Jyoti Garki, Commissioner Transport Ilam Bhatti Garki, Director Industries Nikhil Garki, and other dignitaries who are part of this conference, esteemed speakers, and other officials from the line departments. A very warm good afternoon to all of you, and we welcome Honorable Deputy CM Sir for this conference on air pollution and management of its quality in Hyderabad. I'll give a brief about the air pollution, how it is being measured, what are the major sources of air pollution, what is the action plan being implemented by Government of Telangana with support of all the line departments, and a way forward to control, to mitigate the air pollution, and also to listen to the honorable guests as well as the speakers to know about the best practices which are being followed in other metro cities, in other parts of the nation as well as worldwide. Next. Ambient air quality is monitored at 88 locations in the state of Telangana. In 12 locations, it is monitored through continuous ambient air quality monitoring stations, and in 16 locations, it is monitored through manual AAQMS. The National Ambient Air Quality Standards prescribe 12 parameters, of which the annual average concentrations of the following two parameters are a matter of concern. The particulate matter of size less than 10 microns as well as less than 2.5 microns. In the continuous monitoring stations, the data is received as a real-time data. Hourly data is received and it is disseminated to all the public, the stakeholders, to know about the quality of the data. And in manual stations, the data is collected, the samples are collected, then it is sent to the laboratory, it is analyzed, and the data is reflected after 2 days. This is the present procedure which we are following to have the quality of the air quality monitored. Next please. The monitoring network and the air quality index. As I said, there are 12 continuous within the ORR as well as 13 manual stations within ORR, which are manual stations. The government has recently approved to upgrade these manual stations also into continuous ambient air quality monitoring stations, so that we will get more representative data, more live data, and informed decisions can be taken once we get the data from the continuous stations. If you see the average trend of PM10 concentrations for the year of 2025, from 2017 till 2025, though there is decrease from 110 to 81, still it is much higher above the quality, the National Ambient Air Quality Standard, which is 60 micrograms per cubic meter. Next. The air quality is being informed through an app which is developed by Central Pollution Control Board, which is called the Samir app. This provides the real-time hourly updates on the national ambient air quality for Indian cities using a color-coded format. We have third-party apps also, which also use the data from the CAQMS, but they are based on the standards of US EPA, United States Environmental Protection Agency, as well as the World Health Organization, and they do not take the standards of the National Ambient Air Quality Monitoring, which is developed by Government of India. So this data is also given for stations where the continuous monitoring stations are not there, so they mostly rely on taking the data from the continuous ambient air quality monitoring stations as well as on the modeling data. So we need to promote this app, which is developed by CPCB, so that there are no false alerts with respect to the standards of the air pollution. So this Samir app, and if you see the standard of this month, starting from the 1st of January till 27, if you see the parameters, the index is almost, it has touched 105 on 2nd January, and mostly it is between 80 to 90 in most of the days, and it is mainly because of the particulate matter, and sometimes it is because of the oxides of nitrogen, carbon monoxide, and ozone also. The status of air quality is categorized into 6 major categories. The quality is considered good if the AQI is 0 to 50. It is considered satisfactory if it is between 51 to 100. Moderate if it is between 101 to 200. Poor if it is between 201 to 300. Very poor if it is between 301 to 400, and above 400 it is considered to be severe. And the health impacts because of the various categories is also mentioned. If you see for 2025 for the city of Hyderabad, on none of the days it was good. It was satisfactory on most of the days. For 298 days it was satisfactory. It was moderate on 67 days. Major sources of air pollution, as you see from the slide, the major contributor directly or indirectly is from industries. It is almost 33%. Direct emissions is 5%. Indirect emissions it is 28%. Through SIA it is 8%. Vehicles it is 5%. Road dust it is 15%. All to put together, direct and indirect thing, it is one of the highest contributors. Next is with respect to the road dust, then the vehicles, then you have secondary inorganic aerosols. So there are various committees also constituted for air quality management. For the state of Telangana, we have the steering committee, we have the air quality monitoring committee, we have the 15th finance, as per the 15th finance commission recommendations, we also have the SLMIC. So action plan, state action plan has been prepared, having almost 46 actionable points to be implemented through various line departments. Next please. If you see the number of industries which are there in ORR, almost 1670 red and orange category industries are there. There's a breakup of it. And if you see the PM10 concentrations, mostly in industrial estates, it is always above 80 and almost close to 100 on most of the times. All the 7 industrial estates data is also displayed. Next, if you see the residential development, you take one example of IDA GD from 95 to 2025. Almost it was in the outskirts initially, but now it is fully in the residential zone. So there are many number of receptors who are consuming, who are taking this, breathing this air and breathing this air. So there is a plan of shifting of industries, and various GOs with respect to the shifting of industries outside the ORR is also mentioned. Next please. We have almost 6 actionable major points to control the air pollution, with the industrial emissions, vehicular emissions, construction and demolition waste, resuspension dust, open burning and other measures also. So we look forward to hear from Honorable Deputy CM Sir and other dignitaries as well as the experts on how to mitigate, how to control the air pollution so that environmentally comfortable living is ensured to all the citizens. Thank you.
Sri Ravi IAS, Member Secretary ధన్యవాదాలతో నా రిక్వెస్ట్ అహ్మద్ నదీం సార్, ప్రిన్సిపల్ సెక్రటరీ ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ అండ్ ఫారెస్ట్, వారి మెసేజ్ కోసం. అహ్మద్ నదీం సార్.
గౌరవనీయులు రాష్ట్ర డిప్యూటీ సీఎం గారు శ్రీ భట్టి విక్రమార్క గారికి, మై కలీగ్ సెక్రటరీ ప్లానింగ్ అండ్ సోషల్ వెల్ఫేర్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ శ్రీ బుద్ధ ప్రకాష్, మెంబర్ సెక్రటరీ PCB Mr. Ravi, Commissioner Transport and Secretary Animal Husbandry Shri Bhatti, Commissioner Industries Shri Nikhil Chakravarti, all the experts from the various nooks and corners of the country who have come today for this conference on the air pollution index and air quality management, all the stakeholder departments representatives representing the subject for today's conference, friends from media and all present, very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I would like to congratulate the planning department and the PCB, Secretary Planning and the Member Secretary PCB for having organized this conference, because it's a very timely conference considering the currency of the subject. Now, as we all know, Hyderabad is one of the major cities in the country, top 6 metros of the country, and it is rapidly growing. And with the Vision 2047, the plan which the state government, Honorable Chief Minister and Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, they have envisaged for Telangana and for Hyderabad, it is likely to take very rapid strides in the days to come. And in the next 5 years itself, we envisage that the population of Hyderabad may touch almost around 2 crores or so. And already the area, geographical area of GHMC has been expanded to include number of peripheral municipalities which are adjoining the present GHMC area, and with that it will become one of the biggest urban local bodies in the entire country. So naturally, when the urban development takes place, and in India, of course, the urbanization is one of the necessity evils, if one could say, to mitigate the problem of the poverty and development. Because without rapid urbanization, it's very difficult in a country of the size of India to bring the people out of poverty with its huge population. Everybody cannot survive on the primary sector alone. You need manufacturing, you need services sector, and for that urbanization is very much necessary. And of course, we all know what is the cost of urbanization. We are facing it in our daily lives. So that's why when we refer to it as a necessary evil, then naturally we have to live with it, but we have to also mitigate the problems which become with such rapid industrialization. So as informed by our Secretary Planning and Member Secretary earlier, in Hyderabad also, because of its unique geography and all, like every other city, it has its own unique issues to deal with, which have led to this situation. Of course, as of now, one can see from the figures that Hyderabad has not yet entered any kind of a orange area or the critical zone. So we are very much in the safe zone as of now as far as the air quality is concerned. But the way the things are expanding, if we do not take any action, then naturally sooner rather than later we will be also facing a situation which would be closer to some of the other cities. Of course, Delhi is far worse, but if we leave the problem unattended, we may have to face a similar situation in the days to come. But here the major problem is because of the industry, the vehicular pollution, that of construction and dust, and the soil and road. So how we tackle these are the things for the concerned government departments and experts to ponder over and to come up with some solutions for the times which we are going to face. In the vision, in the Bharat Summit, the Honorable Chief Minister has made it clear that going forward, Hyderabad will be a pollution-free city. So that's going to be one of the unique things about Hyderabad as compared to other metros, because though it has its own inherent advantages, the pollution-free environment will be another additional kind of thing which will be available for the future citizens of this city. To achieve that, we need to have a brainstorming over what has to be done. Probably we also need to harness the power of digital technology, as was mentioned in the one of the previous presentations. We may also we also need to harness the power of the emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence also to devise certain solutions for monitoring and to mitigate the various the issues which are causing the pollution and the air pollution in particular. We are also aware that the Supreme Court, the Constitution itself provides certain safeguards. In the Article 21, the right to life, the Supreme Court has interpreted it to mean to include the right to clean air and the pollution-free kind of environment. And the Supreme Court has also enunciated the polluter pays principle also. Then there's a duty on all the citizens to maintain the environment also. So we have to see how we can, while the government takes certain measures, but government alone cannot solve the problem. Ultimately, the people also have to come forward. There has to be a change in the mindset, because somehow people want a clean environment, but they do not want to contribute to that kind of environment. They want the other person only to contribute. So how we are going to bring about this change, how we are going to make the polluter to pay, and in what way we are going to mitigate the various problems which we all know which are contributing to the pollution. It's really a very, very complex kind of a situation. It's not a very easy thing. If it was so easy, the capital of the country, that is New Delhi, would not be so polluted as it is today. But the state government has resolved, our Chief Minister, our Deputy Chief Minister has resolved, and as part of that, this conference has been held today. And I hope that this will be a beginning of deliberation. Number of experts, so many experts have come. You have experience of various major cities, various parts of the country. You would be sharing your experience. Some of you shared in the morning session. Some of you would be sharing in the afternoon session. And this conference is just the starting point. I mean, after this, there have to be a lot of discussions, and there have to be a concrete action plan and things which can actually be done on the ground. So I hope this conference will lead to catalyze thinking in that direction, so that we get actual actionable plan, something which is doable and which will happen. We have to institutionalize it so that it happens on its own. It is not dependent. It's not manual intervention has to be minimized. So I hope this conference will actually contribute towards that. I really thank the Honorable Deputy CM for taking this initiative, because it's a very, very timely initiative. Hyderabad, as we speak today, it is fairly livable. It is very comfortable as far as the air pollution and the other things are concerned. Of course, it would have been much better if it was much less. But if it was left unattended to, I'm sure in the next 2-3 years itself, it will become very, very difficult. So, thank you so much, sir, for this initiative. And I hope that this conference, all these participants will participate, they will share their experiences, and our own department people will also gain from those experiences, and we will be able to come up with some good measures in the days to come and provide a pollution-free environment to all the citizens of Hyderabad. Thank you.
అటవీ పర్యావరణ శాఖల ముఖ్య కార్యదర్శి అహ్మద్ నదీమ్ ఐఏఎస్ గారికి ధన్యవాదాలతో అటెన్షన్ ఆఫ్ ది ఆగస్ట్ ఆడియన్స్ ఈజ్ రిక్వెస్టెడ్ నౌ. మనిషే కేంద్రంగా ప్రజలే ప్రధానంగా ఉండాలి ఏ కార్యక్రమమైనా అని అన్ని వేదికలపై చెబుతుంటారు గౌరవనీయులైన మల్లు భట్టి విక్రమార్క గారు, డిప్యూటీ సీఎం గారు. వారు ఒక మాట అన్నారు, ఒక అద్భుతమైన కొటేషన్గా రాసి పెట్టుకోవాలి. డెవలప్మెంట్ వితౌట్ వాల్యూస్ ఈజ్ ఇన్కంప్లీట్. డెవలప్మెంట్ వితౌట్ వాల్యూస్ ఈజ్ ఇన్కంప్లీట్. Growth without compassion is unstable. Progress without inclusion is fragile. మనిషే కేంద్రంగా సాగుతున్న గౌరవనీయులైన ముఖ్య అతిథి గారి సందేశం. ఆనరబుల్ డిప్యూటీ సీఎం.
Nadeem Ahmad ji, Principal Secretary, Environment, Forest and Science and Technology. Sri Buddha Prakash ji, Secretary Planning. Sri Ilam Bharti ji, Commissioner Transport. Sri Ravi ji, Member Secretary, Pollution Control Board. Sri Nikhil Chakravarti ji, Commissioner of Industries, and distinguished experts from national and international institutions, representatives of civil society, NGOs, media friends, ladies and gentlemen. Warm greetings to all of you. I am happy to be part of this important conference on air quality index and air quality management. Organized with a clear and noble objective, cleaner air for Telangana, a healthier Telangana. This is our motto. When we discuss air quality today, we must look honestly at the experience of other major Indian cities. All of us have seen what happens in Delhi during winter. It's very alarming. Air quality index levels cross sometimes 300. Schools are closed. Flights are cancelled. People are advised not to step out. Children grow up under polluted skies. This is not a seasonal inconvenience. It is the result of decades of unplanned growth and weak environmental governance. Delhi's experience is a serious warning for all of us, particularly growing cities. Hyderabad, thankfully, has not reached that stage. Our air quality, though not perfect, remains largely in the satisfactory and moderate range. We have avoided prolonged smog episodes. This has not just happened by chance. It is a result of long-term institution building and forward-looking urban planning carried out for many years and decades. From the early investments in mass transport to the certain creation of planned industrial zones to the strengthening of environment laid during successive governments for a long period. These decisions taken years ago are protecting us today. Good governance always shows its results with time. Our present government also is building on that strong foundation under the leadership of our Chief Minister Sri Revanth Reddy Garu, and the entire cabinet is committed towards this goal. Friends, Telangana today is one of the fastest growing regions in the country. Hyderabad is emerged as a major hub for IT, life sciences, manufacturing and innovation. This growth gives us pride, but it also gives us responsibility. Development and environmental protection cannot be placed on opposite sides. They must walk together. Our government has set ambitious goals for economic growth, including moving towards a $3 trillion economy through sustainable development. At the same time, we are investing in reservation of water bodies, production of natural resources, and improvement of air quality. Because development without clean air is not progress. That's what we believe seriously. It is only postponed damage. Air quality is not just an environmental indicator. It is a public health indicator. It is a productivity indicator. It is an economic indicator also. Global studies, including the State of Global Air Report 2024, shows us the seriousness of the issue. Air pollution today is the second leading global risk factor for death after high blood pressure. It is linked to more than 8 million premature deaths annually. It affects our children, our elderly, and our working population. A World Bank study estimates that air pollution costs the global economy over $4 trillion every year. So when we talk about clean air, we are talking about human lives, economic strength, and social well-being. It has already been mentioned that Hyderabad is among the fastest growing cities in the world. This is an achievement, but it also means that our urban systems must mature quickly. Our air quality index is largely in the satisfactory and moderate range. Our goal must be steadily move towards the good category. Though it is, moderate and satisfactory, it doesn't serve the purpose. It has to reach the good category. That is what Telangana plans. We want more clean days, healthier lungs, and longer lives for us, our citizens. The government of Telangana has therefore adopted a target-oriented and science-based approach to clean air. First, monitoring. We believe in a simple principle: what we do not measure, we cannot manage on. So in 2024, we doubled our air quality monitoring network by installing nearing about 40 new stations covering all major towns. This gives us real-time, credible data for action. Second is planning. In 2025, we prepared the state action plan for clean air. It addresses major pollution sources such as vehicles, road dust, construction, industries, and open burning. This is under active implementation in our state now. Third is clean mobility. We are promoting electric vehicles through subsidies. We are strengthening public transport with e-buses and metro expansion. though state is losing so much of revenue. We are building charging infrastructure across the state. We have introduced registered vehicles, scrapping facilities to remove old polluting vehicles from our roads. Fourth is industrial regulation. Industries are monitored through continuous emission systems connected to Pollution Control Board servers. Cleaner fuels are encouraged. Compliance is being strengthened. This is how we are trying to regulate the industry. Fifth is renewable energy. Our renewable energy policy 2025 target 20,000 megawatts by 2030 through solar, wind, and hydro. This will significantly reduce carbon emissions and dependence on fossil fuels. We must also recognize emerging risk also. The presentation highlighted that industries contribute. The other day when we spoke, even in the assembly also, we mentioned very clearly how industries are causing the pollution and the traffic vehicular emissions. Through industries, mostly it is contributing 32% of pollution in some areas. While direct particulate emissions are regulated, other pollutions like volatile organic compounds need stronger attention. We also saw the example of Gidimetla industrial area. What was once at the city's edge is now surrounded by residential colonies. Similar situation exists in many ideas within the ORR. This creates serious safety and health risks. An industrial accident in a dense residential area can become a major disaster. Therefore, we must seriously examine relocation, zoning reforms, and better land use planning to protect citizens. That's what Telangana is trying to do their level best. Urban growth must be planned, not improvised. Going forward, we are strengthening governance system. We hope to launch a public-facing air quality dashboard for transparency and citizen engagement coming from. We will pilot dedicated action teams in 2 GHMC zones to respond quickly to pollution complaints. After evaluating results, this system will be expanded on. Our approach is not only regulatory, it is responsive. But let me be very clear. No government, however committed, can deliver clean air alone. Clean air requires partnership. Partnership with citizens, partnership with industries, partnership with institutions, partnership with civil society. It requires simple daily choices, using public transport, conserving energy, avoiding waste burning, supporting green practices. Environmental protection begins at home. We do not see clean air only as an administrative responsibility. We see it as a moral responsibility. A responsibility to our children, a responsibility to future generations, responsibility to history. What kind of Telangana will we leave behind? A prosperous state with polluted lungs, or a modern state with healthy citizens? Our answer is clear. This conference brings together national and international experts who have worked on proven solutions. Their experiences, their data, and their innovations will guide us. I urge all stakeholders, departments to study these best practices seriously and adapt them to Telangana's context. That is the reason we have decided to conduct this big conference here, and I have asked my planning department to organize such a conference by inviting throughout the country, the experts, scientists, to come and speak about the air pollution and its relevance and its importance and concern. Let us convert knowledge into policy. Let us convert policy into action. Let us convert action into results. Let us work together to build a Telangana where economic growth, innovation and clean air is progress together. That will be our true legacy, dear friends. And I am very happy and I extend once again my warm greetings and gratitude also for you all coming from various parts of this country, taking your valuable time and giving your presentations and your material to the society. Thank you very much, and I also appreciate my department, planning department. In a short period when I told you to organize this, that you conducted very well by inviting so many people. Appreciate planning department because we feel the air pollution, the clean air is a very, very serious concern matter as far as the society is concerned, and particularly the people who are in ruling and government. And it's our moral responsibility to see to that our citizens' health is protected. Where we are doing our job, we have to do it very sincerely. So we are trying our level best to do something good in controlling these kind of pollution, particularly Hyderabad and the state of Telangana. And Hyderabad, still I feel it is the safest city when you compare with other cities. Because of the state government taking so many measures, Hyderabad is the most livable city with so much of clean and green patches, clean air. And we are assuring the people of Telangana and to the country also that we are going to protect this state come what may. Even if you require any stern regulations are required, we are committed for that. My Chief Minister, my cabinet is committed so much for the clean air in the state. That's the reason we are taking so many measures, particularly already, we have decided to replace all the diesel-based RTC buses from the city. Bringing all the battery-based buses. And so much of subsidies that we are giving to battery-based vehicles. Industries, yes, though we are planning. Once when they started, all the industries are away from the city. But now, city expanded and the residential areas almost it has become part of the industry. So we all have to think about it. We will be doing that, we will be planning for that, and we are sure that we will definitely think about our citizens and their health. Thank you very much.
పారిశ్రామిక అభివృద్ధి కావాలి, అది పర్యావరణ హితంగా ఉండాలి. సౌభాగ్యవంతమైన తెలంగాణ కావాలి, అది ఆరోగ్యవంతంగా ఉండాలి అని సందేశం అందించిన గౌరవనీయులైన ఆనరబుల్ డిప్యూటీ సీఎం మల్లు భట్టి విక్రమార్క సార్ గారికి నమస్సులతో ఇప్పుడు ఐ రిక్వెస్ట్ సబ్జెక్ట్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్స్ టు కమ్ ఆన్ ది డయాస్ టు రిసీవ్ ఫెలిసిటేషన్ బై ఆనరబుల్ డిప్యూటీ సీఎం. ఇండస్ట్రియల్ ఎమిషన్స్ అనే టాపిక్ మీద మాట్లాడబోతున్న ప్రొఫెసర్ ముఖేష్ కుమార్ గారు. Professor Mukesh Kumar Sharma, IIT Kanpur, is going to present the topic, Best Available Techniques and Uptake of Cleaner Fuels for Minimizing Emissions అనే అంశం మీద మాట్లాడతారు. వారిని వేదిక పైన తెలంగాణ ప్రభుత్వం పక్షాన గౌరవనీయులైన ఉప ముఖ్యమంత్రి వర్యులు, ప్లానింగ్, విద్యుత్తు, శక్తి వనరులు, అలాగే ఆర్థిక శాఖ అన్ని నిర్వహిస్తూ తెలంగాణను ఒక ప్రాస్పరస్ తెలంగాణగా మార్చేందుకు నిరంతరం కృషి చేస్తున్న డిప్యూటీ సీఎం గారి చేతుల మీదుగా అవార్డు అందుకున్నారు ప్రొఫెసర్ ముఖేష్ కుమార్ శర్మ, ఐఐటి కాన్పూర్. మే నౌ రిక్వెస్ట్ ప్రొఫెసర్ రాజ్ కిరణ్, ఏఎస్సిఐ, ప్రొఫెసర్ రాజ్ కిరణ్ గారు. వారు వెహిక్యులర్ ఎమిషన్స్ అనే అంశం మీద మాట్లాడబోతున్నారు. రిడ్యూసింగ్ ఆన్ రోడ్ ఎమిషన్స్ టువర్డ్స్ నెట్ జీరో. తర్వాత మే రిక్వెస్ట్ కృతికా మ్యామ్, కృతికా చౌదరి గారు, వీరు ఓపెన్ బర్నింగ్ అనే అంశం మీద మాట్లాడారు. బెస్ట్ ప్రాక్టీసెస్ ఫర్ కంట్రోల్ ఆఫ్ ఓపెన్ బర్నింగ్ అండ్ రీయూజ్ ఆఫ్ ద వేస్ట్. ఢిల్లీలో ఓ ప్రత్యేక సంస్థకి ప్రారంభకులుగా ఉన్న తర్వాత సురేష్ జైన్ గారు, కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ డిమోలిషన్ వేస్ట్, ప్రొఫెసర్ సురేష్ జైన్, ఐఐటి తిరుపతి. అబేట్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఎమిషన్స్ ఫ్రమ్ సిఎన్జిడి యాక్టివిటీస్ అండ్ రీసైక్లింగ్ అనే అంశం మీద వారు మాట్లాడబోతున్నారు. తర్వాత డాక్టర్ సుమిత్ శర్మ గారు, ఏఎన్ఈపి న్యూఢిల్లీ. డాక్టర్ సుమిత్ శర్మ, డిసిషన్ సపోర్ట్ సిస్టమ్, ఎయిర్ షెడ్ బేస్డ్ సైంటిఫిక్ ఎయిర్ క్వాలిటీ మేనేజ్మెంట్ ఇన్ సిటీస్ అనే అంశంపై మాట్లాడబోతున్నారు డాక్టర్. తర్వాత పురుషోత్తం రెడ్డి గారిని ఆహ్వానిస్తున్నాం. డాక్టర్ సుమిత్ శర్మ గారికి శుభాకాంక్షలతో ఆచార్య కె పురుషోత్తం రెడ్డి గారు దశాబ్దాలుగా పర్యావరణ అంశంలో నిరంతరం కృషి చేస్తున్నారు. సస్టైనబుల్ ఎయిర్ క్వాలిటీ మేనేజ్మెంట్, ఎన్విజనింగ్ సస్టైనబుల్ హైదరాబాద్ అనే అంశం మీద వారు మాట్లాడున్నారు. ఆచార్య పురుషోత్తం రెడ్డి గారికి సన్మానం. గౌరవనీయులైన ముఖ్య అతిథి గారికి జ్యోతి బుద్ధ ప్రకాష్ గారు శాల్వాతో, అహ్మద్ నదీం గారు మెమెంటోతో సన్మానం చేస్తారు. మనకు తెలుసు గౌరవనీయులైన డిప్యూటీ సీఎం గారు అనేక ప్రభుత్వ ప్రజాపాలన ప్రజా సంబంధిత కార్యక్రమాల్లో నిమగ్నమై ఉన్నారు. వారు అమూల్యమైన సమయాన్ని అందించి ఒక దశను దిశను అందించారు ఈ సెమినార్కు సంబంధించి. ఆనరబుల్ డిప్యూటీ సీఎం గారికి మన ధన్యవాదాలు కరతాళధ్వనుల రూపంలో తెలియజేద్దాం. ఐ రిక్వెస్ట్ డైరెక్టర్ గారు దత్తం సార్ ఫర్ ప్రపోజ్ వాట్ ఆఫ్ థ్యాంక్స్. డైరెక్టర్.
Kindly, please be seated. We'll continue the session. Please be seated.
Hello. On behalf of Secretary, on behalf of Director Rufus Dattan garu, and on behalf of Planning Family, Honorable Deputy CM gariki ధన్యవాదాలు. అలాగే ప్రెస్ ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ మీడియా వారికి ధన్యవాదాలు. ఇంకా సెషన్స్ ఉన్నాయండి. ఇప్పుడు టెక్నికల్ సెషన్లో ఒక అంశాన్ని ఇప్పుడు 10 నిమిషాలు 10 minutes అంశం ఉంటుంది. తర్వాత లంచ్ బ్రేక్, ఆ తర్వాత మరొక 2 అంశాలు ఉంటాయి. I request the attention of all the August audience please. ఒక 10 minutes ఒక ప్రెజెంటేషన్, ఆ తర్వాత లంచ్ బ్రేక్, ఆ తర్వాత మళ్ళీ ఒక 2 ప్రెజెంటేషన్స్ ఉంటాయి. మే నౌ రిక్వెస్ట్ ప్రొఫెసర్ ముఖేష్ కుమార్ శర్మ జీ ఫ్రమ్ ఐఐటి కాన్పూర్. ప్రొఫెసర్ ముఖేష్ కుమార్ శర్మ జీ, ఐఐటి కాన్పూర్. వారు ఇండస్ట్రియల్ ఎమిషన్స్ అనే అంశం మీద వారి ప్రెజెంటేషన్ ఉంటుంది. ఆ తర్వాత లంచ్ బ్రేక్, ఆ తర్వాత ప్రొఫెసర్ రాజ్ కిరణ్, ప్రొఫెసర్ సురేష్ జైన్, ప్రొఫెసర్ సుమిత్ శర్మ, ఆ 3 presentations ఉంటాయి ఆఫ్టర్ లంచ్ బ్రేక్. నౌ బిఫోర్ లంచ్ బ్రేక్ వీ హ్యావ్ బెస్ట్ అవైలబుల్ టెక్నిక్స్ అండ్ అప్టేక్ ఆఫ్ క్లీనర్ ఫ్యూయల్స్ ఫర్ మినిమైజింగ్ ఎమిషన్స్, ప్రొఫెసర్ ముఖేష్ కుమార్ శర్మ, ఐఐటి కాన్పూర్. ప్లీజ్ వెల్కమ్ ముఖేష్ సార్. మనమంతా వారి ప్రెజెంటేషన్ వినడానికి సిద్ధంగా ఉన్నామని తెలియజేయడానికి జోర్సే और प्यार से तालियां. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you very much for the welcome. Principal Secretary Environment, Member Secretary, Telangana State Pollution Control Board, and many colleagues from the State Pollution Control Board, and many other distinguished persons whom I know. So I'll very quickly, I know time is of bit essence, so very quickly what I'll do is go through certain slides. This is the work which we had done at IIT Kanpur through a sponsored study from the Telangana State Pollution Control Board actually. And so quickly what we'll do is go through the slides. So this, so a very brief introduction quickly. This is what is air pollution all about. There are three big components. There's the emissions, there's the transportation of the pollutants, and there's the receptor. So what happens is the transportation is very critical because there we cannot do anything. So what we try to do in all the studies that you'll come across is to develop a causal linkage between the emissions and the impact it causes to the receptor. Receptor can be human being, receptors can be buildings, receptor can be even be crops, receptor can be even ecology. So the objective here is to connect emission to the receptor and see the impact. And then of course the transport, we cannot do anything in the meteorology, weather is not in our control. So what we do strategically, that what all we should control, how much we should control, and so that the impact of the receptor is minimal or within the standard air quality levels. That's how it started the study. There's certain non-attainment cities in the country, maximum numbers in Maharashtra and then UP. There are few cities in Telangana also. So Hyderabad is one study that we took, and I'll just quickly show you the results of these things. How do we approach to the study was that you see what we want to attain is the good national ambient air quality standards. And to do that, or to even do better than that one, is what we need certain, you see the 4 big blocks. The first is that the minister said, the deputy CM said, if we can't measure it, we can't manage it. The first thing that we did was we did our own measurements, as you can see here. Then what we identified the sources, which are potentially, causing the problem. Third block is connecting the source emission to the impact actually. That's where we call technically source apportionment. So in a way, apportioning the sources at the breathing level air quality. And this can be not directly related to the emission quantity, but they are highly non-linear. It's quite possible a large source may contribute to less pollution sometimes in the ambient air, or vice versa. And the last component we just see, the big one, is how much the city can carry. I mean, if the city cannot carry more than certain pollution, then we have to understand and stop the pollution. So that's what is the carrying capacity. Look at the options, how to control them, what are the efficacies of those options, and then finally time-bound action plan. That's what we did for the city of Hyderabad. Quickly, PM10, PM2.5 will come across this word. PM2.5 is very small, almost 1/20th of the human hair size, and that's where if you really look under the microscope, these particles, they are not spherical. They are like popcorn actually, large surface area, and as a result they carry a lot of pollutants absorbed onto them. Means most of the toxicity is with PM10 and PM2.5, and that's what from the health point of view we need to control. This is what was the study area. The study area covered all entirely Municipal Corporation Hyderabad, Greater Municipal Corporation, and the outer ring road as well. So what we did was we completely digitized the entire city in terms of different thematic layers actually. So you see many layers, we said, well, complete every point was digitized in terms of where the people are living, where are the roads, where are the industries and all, so that when it comes down to the action point, we can really, sort of go down to a small area, blow it up, and see what's happening inside. So that was the intention. These are the 5 locations where we did the measurements of the air quality, and then then at these locations we try to see who is largely responsible for such kind of pollution. So the emission inventory, what are the sources? First of all, road dust was talked this morning. We identified certain 26 locations where the road dust was slightly higher. In terms of technical thing, what we call it is central road. Central road is primarily responsible how much emissions would go into the atmosphere. So these locations were identified and the measurements were done on the field at what are the dust levels. Although we'll focus on to the industrial component today, and the overall emission inventory you see from the PM 2.5 actually in the different areas, what you see is a major, of course, the vehicle, road dust, and the industry. That's the major thing we can put, and there are the other sources, municipal solid waste or any kind of solid waste burning. So this was a picture in different areas that you can see here, and then the emissions are sort of relatively large because the area is also large, and this would typically match with what emissions we had about 15 years ago in Delhi. We had done a lot of work in Delhi. So that was being discussed. Well, if Delhi can get bad, so this is the time to act now. So, sorry, if we come to the contribution part of it, the breathing level quality, we see the vehicles are the bigger contributor and small amount of the other sources, and we can also say that industry is also contributing in different sources, as you can see. But you see, what we have to see really is also look at the other pollutants and then their connection to the particles. I'll just describe that. We'll come to this connection part a little bit. What you see is the SO2, which generally we talk about the particle section. SO2, we said, SO2 is still well in control and all. But when we look at the sources of SO2, almost entire SO2, which will be connected to the PM, particulate matter, I'll just show you that. But entire SO2 is coming from, almost entire is coming from the industry. Okay, where the particulate matter do have different gradation in terms of the emissions. So this is what happens when the SO2 is large there. And then we'll come back to that SO2 part in this thing. So we look at the industrial profile. The boilers are the maximum in numbers in the city in terms of polluting things, furnaces, and of course the other component, 4% is your induction furnaces. And we'll have gone into the details of each kind of industry and what needs to be done. These were the locations. Every industry was digitized, and every detail of every industry is available on the digital platform, that what is doing what. So these are the emissions from the different areas, specifically from the industrial areas. You can see the industrial areas are more in the northwest and other parts of the city. So these are the major industrial hubs. So now the source apportionment part, these are the levels what we measured. Yes, indeed, PM 2.5 was exceeding the standards, particularly in the winter. Summer levels slightly come down, but we indeed have a, not like situation like Delhi, but we indeed have an issue that we need to address. This slide, I'll just spend about 10 seconds on this one. What happens is you have the primary emissions which are occurring in the middle of things, what you see. What happens, the primary emissions, some of them are gases. For example, SO2. But these SO2 or certain gases, they turned into the particles in the atmosphere because of a lot of atmospheric chemistry. So to start with, some of the pollutants were gases, but what we see them as we measure them and what we breathe them, they turn into the particles. And that's what we call as the secondary particles or secondary inorganic aerosols. So what happens sometimes when we say, particulate emission, we look, there are different categories, but when it comes to the breathing level, even the gases, or we call them precursor gases, are also being emitted from the industry. So if you want to improve in terms of the particulate pollution, you also need to look at these precursor gases and control them. Otherwise, you will not get the advantage what you're looking for. So this is a component of the secondary particle, which is the right-hand side. A lot of sun's energy also plays a great deal of things. So what you see, the turning of the gases into the particles. So remember that there is a secondary component also that could potentially be significantly from the industry. So this is the breakdown, as you can see here. Apparently, industrial contribution about 5-6%, but we did certain calculation and certain model part of it. You see the big pink portion on the left side, SIA. As I said, this SIA could also be, or it is actually, converting into the particles which come from the industry but turn into the particles in the atmosphere. So this SIA also has to be broken down in terms of the different sources, and those sources turns out to be the industrial sources. So the picture will get modified by considering that contribution from this one. So industrial emissions industrial contribution could be as high as about 24%. And these are all published things, and these things results are available. So you can see here, industry, now the major components are the industry, soil and road dust, vehicles, and some amount of SIA, because part of the SIA has gone into the industrial part actually. Some of the SIA will be from some other part. So this complexity is very important to understand, and then again, therefore the focus here is on the industry actually. So at the PM10, again, this conversion of SIA into the indirect emissions in the particulate matter, it is almost like 30% and above is the industrial contribution. So the issue of the industrial contribution was significant, and this needs to be done. Other issue at the Hyderabad, what we found was VOC, which again the Deputy Chief Minister was referring to actually, interestingly, technical issue, volatile organic compounds, which are relatively higher in Hyderabad to study its own size. The reason is there are not many industries using solvents here, different kind of solvents, and these are again very tricky situations. The VOCs can also give you the secondary particles. So VOCs also can contribute to your particulate pollution, which we are trying to control. So now the issue is that, well, this measurement was done only in 6 locations, okay? But we wanted the picture for the entire city. So we sort of resort to some modeling where we have the emissions, meteorology, wind, and all kinds of things, and we exercise this kind of model and say, well, what is happening, what sources contributing. This is fairly complex models, but interesting to see is the results. So what happened was in this study, so earlier we were saying, well, 5 locations, we had certain measurements done, and 5 locations were showing something. Now we have this picture of the entire city, and we could blow down and come down to the points where are the hotspots. Average air quality is one thing, okay, that might even turn out to be quite reasonable, but there would always be certain hotspots. So this modeling thing could tell us that where are the hotspots. Of course, the major hotspots were the Charminar area, no doubt about it. But rest of the other 2 or 3 locations, as you see, they were all in the industrial pockets actually. Pointing out that industries are at one particular locations, and they cause a larger emission in smaller area. So emission in these areas per square kilometer was much higher than the other part of the city. So moving from just 5 locations where we did the measurement, we could expand the study to entire city, including outer ring road area actually. So once we have these hotspots worked out, then the solution becomes location specific, accounting for the location specificity and determining as to what is that happening in those, the hotspots actually. So that it's not only the average picture, it's every part of the city is improved and the air quality improves. So once we started getting into these, smaller details of the hotspots, and interestingly, the earlier picture with 5 locations, we said, well, industry was about 5-10%, and revise was about 20%. But once you come to this hotspot area, what we found was that we just ranked the sources and the control that we require. So these sources, you can see the industry invariably is showing very important part, except from the Charminar area, where of course the vehicle contribution and the road dust is much higher, probably there are no industry. So again, it highlights that, well, you may have do good measurements, can do good analysis, but still you got to interpret them, got to understand them, go down to the, real, ground conditions, and look at the hotspots, because that's where the problem is. And once we go to the hotspots, the industry simply comes out. So this is the picture contribution of the 24-hour hotspot highlight highest level. Again, industry is now industry when it comes to the air quality in those hotspots will be 48%. We are talking about 6%, 33%, but realistically, if you go to the hotspot, it is 48%. Industry now they are a little bit on solution part, some 2, 3 or more slides, and then the stop. CNG or the PNG is one important source, but the coal is the major contributor to the pollution. That's one part. Of course, the mathematics doesn't work out there because there are other hidden costs. So, for example, some of the cities have gone for the PNG level. So these are the costs. For example, 100 kilometer may cost you laying down with the pipe. Approximate cost is 42 crores. So this is what is the thing where the pharmaceutical industry also need to do something very high level because VOC levels are high. And finally, another important thing which I wanted to highlight from technology point of view is the induction furnace where you see the picture on the right hand side. So when induction furnace, when we visited, this is what should be the control technology. Otherwise, what happens, some of the emission collection is from the top, and you can see in the center it is a crane operating, and if the crane is operating, you can't capture it. If you can't capture it, then you can't control it, and all emissions will be from your roof. So therefore, now new technique, that's what we gave in the report, that well, side suctions are important in these furnaces, although it's electric furnace, no coal used, but the emissions will be. Finally, they are the recommended options of the industry that we have given. We will not go into the details of these things, but they are the control devices that we described in the report, so we will not get into the details. But what you see in the middle is the best technology is the back filters. And these are we done the very broad cost estimates. Suppose all the industries have to do this thing. They are the emission efficiency. These are the international stuff, what the world is doing. So world is doing, if you see your first column, people are talking emission 1 to 15, maximum to 30, okay? And to control that, what we have is a back filter, which not many industries have. And look what the standards that we are having. These are the standards applicable in the country, anything from 100 to 450, and the world is going below 25 range. Massive reduction. So obviously the argument is that we also have to reduce the emissions from the industry. And of course, LCR, our standard is 80, but LCR is also very considering to bring it down close to 50 actually. So this standards are brought down. Suppose industries control these levels from here, this one way at this pressure. So these are the costs involved at different levels. And this is my last slide. So we have made certain recommendations of what I have said, but the another recommendation which we have given in the report is also the last one, which the others I just spoke to you. The last one is also we have to consider shifting grossly polluting industries, because by very nature they are polluting. So shifting of those industries, especially from congested and highly populated area, many cities in the world they have done this actually. So that is definitely an option, and definitely that should be considered. The other component of the shifting of the industry is the safety component, which brings in a lot of safety, because many of the industries are not only highly polluting, but they can be accidental prone also actually. So that have to be shifted. So these are some in substance. That's what I wanted to talk to you, because the time is big constraint. Big report is available with the State Pollution Control Board, and this report was peer reviewed by the external agencies, external experts. And so I must thank the State Pollution Control Board. Mr. Rajat Kumar, we had several meetings with him. I mean, he was so keen about it that he would come to Delhi and say, if you can come to Delhi, if you can't come to Delhi. So that was the keenness from the State Pollution Board. Neetu Prasad Madam, she was the Government Secretary. And we had, several online meetings, and they discussed everything threadbare, and therefore that report turned out to be the way it is. Many people have seen the report. And then we decided to put it through the external peer review, so that, if there's anything missing or something can be brought into that knowledge there. So this report is there. Apart from industry, we have talked about other sources also, what needs to be done. But I think the focus turns out to be on the industry, that if we can, this is really time to handle all the sources just on the industry. But I think industry specific is both, actually we have to have a host of the solutions. Somewhere we might have to do the PNG, somewhere might have to do the best technology put it, and some industries must be shifted. So that thing has to be worked out. And I think what I'm really very happy to listen to the Deputy Chief Minister, so positive, so forward-looking, and exactly the Delhi about 15-20 years ago was at the same stage. So being progressive, and I think we look to a very good air quality future of the Hyderabad city. This is my area. I do work day and night in this one. So I'll stop there, and really thank you for all the for inviting, as well as for the such a wonderful welcome that we had from the Deputy Chief. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All the audience are requested to cooperate for 21 more minutes. Actually, all the subject experts are prepared to present minimum half an hour, but based on the time, they reduced their presentation to 7 minutes each. So, 25, maximum 25 నిమిషంలో మన చేతిలో ప్లేట్ ఉంటుంది. వీల్ హ్యావ్ లంచ్. ఓకే, సో వీళ్ళందరూ చెంబులో ఏనుగులు దించగలిగే సమర్థులు కనుక వాళ్ళ లిస్ట్ అంతా మనకు అందజేస్తారు. ఇప్పుడు ప్రొఫెసర్ రాజ్ కిరణ్ గారు ఏఎస్ఏ, వారు వచ్చే ముందు ఐ థింక్ సుమిత్ శర్మ సుమిత్ శర్మ సార్ హ్యాస్ ఫ్లైట్గా, సో ఫ్లైట్ టైం అవుతుందన్నారు. థ్యాంక్స్ ఫర్ రాజ్ కిరణ్ సార్ కోఆపరేషన్. Dr. Sumit Sharma from New Delhi, Decision Support System. Yes. లంచ్ బ్రేక్ దాకా అన్ని తలుపులు మూయబడ్డాయండి, వరకు బహుశా సాధ్యం త్వరగా. యా సార్, ప్లీజ్ వెల్కమ్ డాక్టర్ సుమిత్ శర్మ. ఒకసారి మనం గట్టిగా సపోర్ట్ కొడితే దీన్ని సద్వినియోగం చేసుకుంటాం. విల్ బి స్పెండింగ్ అవర్ ఎనర్జీస్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Thank you so much. We know we are standing between you and lunch. I am from United Nations Environment Program, and I am born and brought up in Delhi. And you can imagine how good I am feeling to be in Hyderabad, having a fresh breath of air. So, and I must congratulate the government of Telangana and Hyderabad for not only achieving the nationally prescribed ambient air quality standard, and there are very few cities in India which have achieved. So I saw the concentration was 33. The standard is 40, annual average standard. So you have achieved that standard. But I must also tell you, you have also achieved the first interim target of WHO guidelines. So that's an achievement to Hyderabad. But as we have discussed today, that it should not stop here. And because the city is growing, because the industries are coming, and because the vehicle population growing, proactively we need to stop the pollution or dealing it with from the growth trajectory. And that is why we are here. If you can move my slides, please. You can just move. Next slide. Next slide. This is what the situation in the country is. Wherever you go, 70% of the cities in India are violating the ambient air quality standards. So in terms of annual averages, Hyderabad is not in these cities. This is below the red line, but still across the country, you will see that the pollution is very, very high. Specifically in the Indo-Gangetic plains, the levels are extremely high. It's not only Delhi, it's not only Lucknow. Several cities and even the non-city regions, the rural regions are heavily polluted. There are tremendous health impacts. We have already spoken about it. Almost 1.5 million people are attributably dying because of high air pollution in the country. Not just health. This is something which a lot of people don't know, that pollution does not only impact health, but it also impacts agricultural productivity. You'll be surprised to know India is losing 30% of its wheat because of high ozone pollution. And we are not talking about ozone which is at stratosphere, but at ground level when it is formed by reactions. And Professor Mukesh Sharma was talking about reactions of pollutants. When the ozone gets formed at this level, it retards agricultural productivity. So 30% of Indian wheat is getting lost because of high ozone pollution. Climate impact. It's not only impacting health and agriculture. Your climatic conditions are also getting changed due to the particles. And this is something which I wanted to show. I'm a big cricket fan. I'm sure a lot of you must also be a big cricket fan, but you must have seen matches getting disrupted because of higher air pollution level. I have seen Virat Kohli getting out just because of disruption caused by air pollution in one of the matches. So these kind of things have also started to impact our society. Now this is a chart for Delhi, and just wanted to tell you that winters is something where pollution gets worse because of meteorological conditions, the low wind speeds, the low planetary boundary layers, but that does not mean summers are clean. There could be lesser pollution, but there is pollution, and that is why the pollution control movement should happen across the year. It should not only happen during seasonal concentration. Now this is a very important thing which is my main message of my presentation, that your city contributes to pollution levels. You have a lot of sources within the cities, but there are so many other sources which are beyond the boundaries of your city, which are also contributing to pollution levels. There are no walls. You know, wind is blowing at a speed of say 5 or 6 kilometers per hour. So something which is 200 kilometers away and it has tall stacks, it can also contribute significantly to your concentration. And that is what the focus of my presentation is, the regional scale pollution. This is how the pollution levels look in India, not just for PM 2.5 but also for ozone. You can see that there are high concentrations in Indian subcontinent, and these are seasonal variations. Now this is a basic list of all possible sources which can contribute to pollution in a city. Now you can see residential biomass burning is featuring here. While we all may have already moved to LPG, biomass burning is still featuring in Hyderabad source apportionment, from where it is coming. We know that in some slums people are still burning biomass, but majority of it is coming from regional sources beyond the boundaries of your city. People are still using biomass in rural areas, and when the wind blows towards the city, a lot of pollution is carried forward as regional scale contribution. Now this is what we mapped, and as you can see that not only cities, but there are several regions which are non-city regions have a lot of emission sources in terms of variety of pollutants. Now this is what we did at India level and at city level. You can focus here. The annual source of apportionment at India level shows 30% pollution coming from biomass burning, people using biomass for cooking, heating, space heating purpose. 16% coming from industry, and transport is 7%. But you see the same picture for a city like Delhi, the contribution of transport explodes to almost a quarter or probably more. When I did my first source apportionment study for Bangalore 20 years back, the contribution of transport was almost 50% in cities pollution level, and we have seen that in Hyderabad it's still a quarter. Just moving on with the slides. Now ozone, I just wanted to mention here that sometimes ozone levels which you found within the city limits are lesser than the surroundings, and that's because of the chemistry of the ozone. So sometimes whatever you measure in your city, you will assume that ozone is in control. But you should also monitor ozone on the outskirts of the city, then you will realize that ozone levels could be very, very high there. Now this is something which is to make my point that outside sources contribute heavily. In Delhi, when we did this source apportionment, we found that 36% of Delhi's pollution was caused by its own sources, while 66%, 64% was coming from outside of Delhi limits. And that is why there is a need for wider airshed-based controls. Our assessment says that in Delhi, if you go ahead with current policies, you will have a reduction of 28%. If you only take measures within Delhi. But if you take measures in larger national capital region, you will have a reduction of 47%. But still, you will not be able to achieve ambient air quality standard in a city like Delhi. So unless you work on a very big area, which is the airshed, which is contributing to your city, you may not be able to achieve the desired goals. This is what we observed during COVID times when most of the things were closed in Delhi. We were still violating the standards. A lot of pollution was coming from outside of the cities. Now, there are significant co-benefits of working at regional scale and not just at city level. And there are air quality benefits. There are integrated, energy access benefits. But the point here is that we must have a decision support system in place at the state level and not just at the city level. I am not saying that we should not work on city level. City level air quality management is a must. But along with that, we must also have a decision support system working at the state level where you can drive policies to reduce pollution across the state, which will help pollution control in all the cities in your state. And that is what we are proposing, a decision support system which can help you plan things where industries should be there, where growth should happen within the state. On a click of a button, you can basically see where the pollution is, how it is being caused, and what can you do to reduce pollution. So on a click of a button, if you have 10 options clearly stating that so much reduction can happen due to a particular strategy, and that can help the policymaker to take right kind of decisions. I'll not go in detail, but I must tell you that similar kind of a decision support system exists in India. So Delhi NCR is using a decision support which on a day-to-day basis provides from where the pollution is coming, how much is contributed by different sources, and by taking all these measures, how much reduction can be achieved. For an example, if you penetrate LPG in the whole NCR, you will have a 6% reduction in Delhi's pollution. If you move to fuel switch in industries from solid fuel to gas, you can have 12% reduction. So all these kind of scenarios can be run using a decision support system, which can help a policymaker to take actions. I would just conclude by saying that regional scale control is as important as city level control. It will definitely allow for control for secondary particulates, which Professor Mukesh Sharma was trying to stress upon, because secondary particulates are formed over a long time, over a distance, and generally they are formed from outside of the city limits and then they are transported to city. So if you want to control the pollution to a totality, along with city controls, you should also focus on state level air quality management. Thank you very much, and I look forward to questions over the lunch break. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Sumit Sharma ji. బహుశా క్వశ్చన్ సెషన్ 1-to-1 ఉంటుందేమో, మీరు లంచ్ ప్లేట్ చేతిలో పట్టుకొని అడగొచ్చు, వాడు ఆన్సర్ చెప్తారు. Hunger and lunch is deciding the time shank, so decision support system. Thanks for that. Thank you, sir. Now my request Professor Raj Kiran garu, vehicular emissions. Vehicles are naturally fast, so 7 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, most of the speakers have already discussed what I was going to tell, especially the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister has already discussed, but then I will try to cover within 7 minutes. Secretary, Planning Department, Member Secretary, Pollution Control Board, Principal Secretary, Forest, and all the dignitaries here. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity. I am Professor Raj Kiran. I am currently Director, Center for Economic Studies in Administrative Staff College of India. We are supporting Telangana government as well as several other governments in EV penetration and e-mobility, EV policies, and extending handholding support to all the departments here, and trying to analyze that as all the professors, all the doctors mentioned here, trying to analyze that their research and taking that particular research to the departments and trying to develop that particular kind of ecosystem and a framework. So mostly I'm going to talk about the EV penetration because Dr. Kritika already talked about dust and waste management. Dr. Mukesh Kumar ji talked about the industry. Dr. Sumit ji talked about the pollution from the regional perspective and all. So as everyone mentioned about the, I'm actually bringing it to the health issue kind of thing. Most of the countries are facing face the largest burden. 36% of the world's population is exposed to levels of PM 2.5, and 11% of the global population lives in areas, and India lies in that. Wherever Hyderabad is, most of the people have already discussed that. So where the cities are, the last almost like the top 10 polluted cities are this. Iraq, Baghdad, Kolkata, Indian, almost 3 cities are there. And what are the best cities and what is their AQI? So the worst AQIs are like lying around 180. This is American AQI system, US AQI system, where the Norway is 1. And I think, as the leadership mentioned here, and we all collectively agreed that Hyderabad is aiming towards these 10 cities rather than these cities. And for that, what to do? What kind of steps need to be taken? And as far as the vehicular pollution is concerned, what kind of steps we need to take and where we are? That is what I am going to discuss. Hyderabad currently lies in 101, and we are now trying to aim towards shifting to that particular kind of thing. Though Hyderabad is one of the livable city, but still means like as when we were talking about the Delhi last 20 years, means I was in school that time. People started to talk about the CNG implementation in Delhi, and since then it's almost more than 25-30 years now. Delhi is still like that, and I think this is the right time. And I must congratulate to the Telangana government and all the departments here to arrange this, that we have collectively started discussing this so that we are not going towards Delhi kind of situation. So what is it? Here, when we compare to the annual deaths, 7.9 million deaths just because of this pollution. And in the cities, Kolkata is 31,000 deaths. Delhi, 11,964 deaths. With this, if I see in Hyderabad, 1,597 deaths are already happening because of attributed to the air pollution. And that is where we need to really think about to reduce the air pollution. And where we are, and coming to the vehicular pollution. Vehicular pollution is 23% of the state's energy sector, accounting to 13.18 metric ton of carbon dioxide emissions. And that is where the contribution is, and the urgency and opportunity lies here, where when I forecast the air quality, majority of districts fall in the 30 to 60 microgram per meter cube range, and the central Hyderabad, where the central Telangana, where the Hyderabad lies, it is more 60 to 90, and it is moving up. So by 2030, where it will be, that is the question. I don't discuss this because Kritika ji and many of the speakers have already discussed about this. So the glance into the future, the Hyderabad by 2018, where the central points are 50 to 100, and this northeastern corridor, which we all know, that the business districts, that is actually putting to 50 to 100, whereas by 2030, the emission levels will look like this. And that is where we need to really plan now. Because of this, expansion of high emission grids are there, increased intensity across peripheral and growth areas, high emission zones remain concentrated. So this is the study, this is what Hyderabad is going to be by 2030. And that is the reason we need to really start working from here. And with this, the 10,000 tons per year emission by 2030, it is going to have, and then mostly transport and the industry that is going to have this. So without intervention, total PM 2.5 emissions rise sharply by 2030. And with this data, I think we need to really seriously start working on this, as all the speakers discussed today. Those all points we need to really So we at ASCII, we did the study on the two-wheelers and medium and heavy commercial vehicles in the state contribute to 3/4 of the pollution load, followed by four-wheelers, over 20% of the air pollution. And this is what the highlights the need for Telangana state to focus on its climate action plans and targets to prioritize interventions to effectively curb emissions. So one of the way is electric vehicles, whereas if we see the data in last 10 years, vehicle stock nearly doubled from 7 million to 15.4 million, and that is what the growth rate is. That is what the growth rate is, and this rate we need to identify. How we need to identify with certain kind of, because what are the drivers? We need to understand the drivers of this particular kind of vehicle growth. What are the components of this particular vehicle growth? Telangana government is already doing the Telangana Mobility Cluster initiative aim to reduce all these things with the manufacturing hub, accelerate electric vehicle electrification, charging infrastructure and all. And what are those drivers? Those drivers are vehicle technology, as we know, travel demand, modal share, urban form and operations. So I think when we are working on the urban growth, the growth corridors and all, we need to really put all these particular kind of items as a priority items, and then work on designing the entire urban planning, which we are working, as the Deputy Chief Minister has already mentioned. So replace tailpipe emissions, focus on high usage urban fleets, we all know, strengthening the public transportation, demand and operations management, and promoting walking and cycling unit, where this is the Telangana EV adoption from 4.2% to 7.55% within 2 years. In just 2 years, 4.2 to 7.55% with whatever the policies we have adopted, that has been shown, that has been recorded. And what are the strengths? The presence of EV manufacturers, component suppliers and startups, strong R&D, early pilots across public, private and depot-based charging, scope to scale strategically in high-demand urban locations, state EV vision and mobility initiatives. In all these things, EV and ESS policies, there 100% road tax and registration exemption, fleet electrification, accelerating EV charging deployment and electric tractor pilot with CAPEX benefits and OPEX benefits. That is what it is driving the total cost of ownership. Where now the real question, are EVs are clean? So EVs are clean. I mean to say that if I compare with all the gasoline fuels, diesel biofuels and all, with battery EV and battery EV, it is 52 gram per kilometer. So this slide suggests that EVs are, yes, EVs are clean, but are EVs are sufficient to reduce the air pollution? No, EVs are not sufficient to reduce the air pollution of the city. The modal shift and all other points which I have mentioned, along with all those particular kind of efforts and the framework, then the EVs are beneficial and EVs are sufficient. So we need to really work on this modal shift, shifting tips from car to bus and then all, moving people. So it is very important that moving people, not vehicles, is the most efficient way to cut emissions. And moving people is by the public transport system, encourage the public transport system, encourage the rapid non-motor transport system, because along with the ORR system, there are several corridors where the government of Telangana is already promoting the cycling tracks and high quality public transport. Strong NMT, safe footpaths, protected cycle tracks, seamless first last mile access, all these things are very, very important, become very, very important for the modal shift. And TSRTC has already planned 100% electricity buses. So what is there, we need to see the reduced emissions through better operations, traffic signal optimization, parking management, freight and delivery management, and efficient road use, where the parking management and the traffic and demand management becomes very, very important in all these things. I was discussing with Dr. Sunil, and he was talking about the ITMS, smart signals, to reduce idling time, because Hyderabad is going to become the smart city, and then the traffic signals need to be synced with each and every traffic signal, and then smart signaling reduce the lot of idling time, PUC, link pollution under control centers, scrappage policy and all, as already discussed by Deputy Chief Minister. It's over, 2 slides. So integrated impact, what it achieves: cleaner air and public health, energy security and fuel savings, economic competitiveness, and obviously jobs and green growth. What I mean to say that the decision enablers are interdepartmental coordination. Kritika, you also mentioned this. Budget alignment becomes very, very important here. That budget alignment with the interdepartmental coordination, data-driven monitoring, and public communication. Until and unless every citizen participate, that mindset, we change, we are not going to achieve this. And with this, as I really want to highlight this, the Delhi from last 15 years efforts is still here. We are on the path of this. I think now it is the time to really think that are we going towards this, or are we managing this and going to reduce this? So with that particular message, I am stopping here. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to discuss and share as his work on this, because of very less time I just wanted to run, but then I am open. You can write to me, you can ask me questions during the lunchtime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Lunch will be more tasty if the questions are productive. Thanks to Tirupati IIT Professor Suresh Jain, he is Telugu land, a bit nearer to Delhi, Kanpur, so he cooperated to be the last speaker. So, Professor Suresh Jain, 7 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I know it's a tough time, and the last speaker, and the time is really running faster. I will just go quickly. I will also try to be precise. All the speakers have talked about this, and I really like the speech, the message given by the Deputy CM. And most of the important words already highlighted. If you really see the summary of the today's workshop or the conference is actually his message. So construction, being from the civil engineering department, first when I was working in the air quality 10 years back, so we were thinking the problem differently because we want to correct the symptoms. Because we want to retrofit, okay, you sprinkle the water, you do this, but the problem is where? The problem is in the construction sector when you say the industry is not aware like how to do this. So first of all, the guidelines had to be set for the real estate builders or the construction industry, and that has to be meant for the tender system. It has to come to the tender system because it's a mandatory component. Like gradually we have gone to the safety measures, and now the safety measures are highly increased in the construction industry. But the problem is the air quality is not at all discussed, and there is a cost because nothing is free. Whatever you ask extra measures, there is a cost that has to come into their tender system, then only they will be able to take into the information. So this is very important to take this forward, not only just telling them this is mandatory later. It has to be in the policy driven system, and tender system should come, like why I'm talking the last message, which is the important message, because the tender, if it's not going to take those aspects into consideration, they are not going to do. It's going to be a retrofitting, just eyewash, the things are going to be there. There are different stages are there, everybody is experiencing. The small construction activities or the large construction activities, everybody knows what is happening.